So you are very, you pride yourself on workouts. Like, you do your workouts pretty much every
It's
day.
one of the few healthy things that I can manage to continue doing. It's almost like if you had like a nice car, but you never took care of it.
Right.
Like the inside's just shit.
Yeah.
But a good paint job.
So I wanted
Decent
I
paint
wanted
job.
to ask you because like I really never asked, but I'm curious. When you do your workouts, are you like,
Naked?
well, yes, that. Plus,
Gotta know what you look like.
are you doing like the same workout every day, or do you try to increase your number of reps, or like your time duration, anything like that, or is it set? This is what I do for X amount of time, but I'm just doing that, you know, every day. Like, what do you?
It's the same sets of exercises, but yeah, I will increase the reps or add things to it. Like I'll look at, I'm like, you know what? Let me do a few of these. Let me do a little bit of this.
Okay, so you do progressively
add
change.
more
Okay,
to it. Yeah.
all right.
Like it started as just like, okay, do 100 crunches, and then I had at the time two 25-pound weights. So I was like, okay, you should be able to, like theoretically, like whatever it weighs, you should be able to rep that at least that many times. So I started doing that. You know, it used to be my wrist all the way up.
Right.
It was hard. Um, and then I'm like, ooh, well, that hurts. I don't want to keep doing that. That's when I'm like, all right, well then let me start doing some lunges around the room with this in my hand.
Yeah.
Now my legs hurt, my arms feel a little bit better, so let me do 25 more reps. Let me do 100 more and then it developed into like, okay, crunches, curls, legs, curls, crunches, and I do that cycle twice, and then I'm like, oh, you kind of need to do your back and the back of your arm. So I'll start doing dips.
Okay, so you're adding. That's
right. Eventually, I learned. I'm like, oh, because then you're like, all right, this looks nice, but then you're like, okay, that's not good. You never want to be that guy that's like, with the chicken legs leaving the gym because all you do is.
Well, and then in fairness, it does get kind of boring because then you're just stuck doing the same thing. But I remember when I was doing
I enjoy the routine.
When I was doing bench presses, like I would start off small, and then gradually climb,
right.
and then every other couple of times, and I would then when I reached to the max weight, I would add on to that to try to get like a new personal
best, yeah.
Right. And then so I listen. There was
that's like to rep the bar like a bajillion times.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
until it burns your fucking arm. Like that's.
I've heard an argument.
I'm not heavy lifting things.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard
my back. It hurts.
I've heard an argument from like muscle guys that it's better to do more reps with less weight than the opposite. Like,
oh, that makes me feel better then.
Yeah, like because I've heard that because he goes if you did. I forgot I think his name was Bradley Martin, and he was on a podcast, but he was saying how, if I know the max you could do is 10, right, and you did 10 push-ups, sit-ups, whatever exercise you're doing, right, you're going to be sore the next day because you hit your limit. But if I make you do, and then you may not work out that day, and then it'll be like the next day, or you're going to wait till you're not sore.
Mm-hmm.
But if you did 5, and then the next day 5, and then the day after that maybe 6.
A little bit.
You've already done triple the amount that one person did.
I see what you're getting
at. So there's like a weird. It's everyone's different.
I'm just so frail. I'm scared of the big weights.
It's okay.
Well, it was the football players that got me into it in high school, because it was first period was weight training. I'd be passed out on the machine. Just like sleeping, bro.
Back then,
smoked a blunt before the bus. I fucking got here. I was a bad kid.
Back then, that was the idea for all of us football players, was just to get fucking big.
Oh yeah, because they would keep coming up to me. They go, "Use it or move."
It had.
And I'm
we didn't like. We could have been.
Till one day, man, they said, "You know what? We're tired of asking you.
Yeah.
We're gonna make you work out." And you know what? I enjoyed the result. I did not like doing the work at the beginning, but then when I realized what was happening, I'm like. I thank them for it.
We could have been, and I don't know what the high schoolers' mentalities are now, but like football player wise, but if we spent more time, like, not just hitting the weights, but, like, focusing on, like, our craft and our actual play, we could all be better players. But we're just so focused of getting big, getting strong, that that's part of it. But the other part is...
I was going to say, I didn't play football, but I'm like, don't you got to be...
Well, it
I wanted to be
just
a wide receiver on, like, JV in 9th grade, and I told my dad, and he goes, you better be the fastest guy out there, man.
Right.
I'm like, oh, no.
Right, but hitting the weights and shit...
No, I didn't want to do that. Yeah, I didn't want to do it.
So... Yeah, so I was just curious on that. A funny thing that happened was that, you know, when I come home, I'm always surprised because there's always events that happen at my house.
Okay.
There's always events.
Catastrophic?
No, just, I mean, maybe to some, but it's just,
Acts of God.
It's so ridiculous that I laugh at it. So, for instance, I get home after work Wednesday night. And, you know, my mom just, like, I don't know, did, like, moisturizer or whatever the fuck. And she's got, like, a napkin, and she's, like, wiping shit off her face, whatever. She gave herself a paper cut on her eye with a tissue.
What? With a tissue?
Yeah, with, like, a napkin, tissue, like...
Not, like, Kleenex, because that's so flimsy and thin. That can't...
Like a napkin.
Like a napkin? You can get a paper cut from a napkin, even?
I don't know. This woman's very special.
That sounds like something that would happen to me, to be honest with you.
She like broke her ankle trying to get up. Like it's intense over there.
Ouch.
But instead of me being concerning, I laugh and I find it hilarious. And I'm like, not only do I find it hilarious, I'm also going to talk about it on the show because it's just so fucking funny.
Hey, you like to bust balls? If I know that, I know you.
Do you ever get while driving? And if someone cuts you off or anything like that, you get like road rage, and then you get beside them, and no matter what the person is, looks like, race-wise, gender, whatever, you look and you're like, of course I knew it. Ever get like that?
You know, I've kind of been. It depends. It depends. I've found myself sometimes. I don't know if it's because I'm more relaxed on the commute, which is rare, but when that happens, or someone does something stupid, or they cut me off and then they start going slow and like hitting their brakes, even though I can see over their vehicle and the next car, there's plenty of room, even though they are slowing down. We don't need to hit it that hard. Like, we can relax here. And then I go up and go around, and it's a really old lady. Now, the old me, 900 years old, of course. Yep, here you got a dinosaur driving a car fueled by dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of like, oh, like, I wonder if she's scared right now. I do. I've changed
Get the
a little
fuck
bit.
off the road. That's what I'm
I've
saying.
changed a
You don't
little
need to be
bit, man.
fucking driving. But to me...
I don't think they should be driving, but I'm kind of like, what if she's, like, really like, who knows what's going on?
To me,
there?
it's just, I don't care who, like... Whoever it is, it's just a habit. Whoever's in that driver's seat, I look over. I'm like, I fucking knew it. I knew it. Some fucking bitch on her phone, or some fucking old guy. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, until I see the person, I'm like, I fucking knew it. An old person. I fucking knew it. Some dumb bitch on her phone.
Brother, there was...
But before that cutoff, it's not like I'm thinking, oh, I bet you this is a woman. No, I don't think of any of that. I'm like, I'm going to pull up the side.
I got to see.
I can't wait to see
You got to see.
And then I'm like, fucking knew it.
Yeah.
Fucking knew it.
There was a time where I and it wasn't, being upset with the person, but I was at the red light, first in line. Another guy pulls up to me on the left, blasting music.
Yeah.
In a rickety old shitbox.
Yes.
And I look over, and he's smoking. He's got hair down to here. He's got his aviators on.
Yes.
Just thinking he is the fucking coolest thing ever. And I look at this guy.
Was this Nate?
No. I look at this guy and I'm like, what a fucking tool, bro. And then I thought back to myself. I look at old pictures of myself with the long, and I'm like, that was me driving a fucking shit box, blasting fucking music, smoking. Yeah, got my glass, and I'm like, oh my god. Like, my life has just been a never-ending cycle of just, I can't believe I was that. Like, well, even as a when I was 10, Barney reruns come on, and I'm like, God, I can't believe I used to watch. Like, it's always been.
Well,
and there's
you evolve.
Right.
You evolve.
There's a meme with Chris Evans where he's like looking at a picture that has a picture within a picture, and it's like, me at 10, me at 20, and like, scoffing at it. And then in the future, it's kind of like, yeah, that's going to happen again. Like, I'm going to look at myself now in 10 years and be like, this shit.
Because you grow. You're constantly growing, whether good or bad.
Right.
You're constantly
Well, Matthew
growing.
McConaughey did that in an acceptance speech. He was always like, people ask me who my hero is. My hero's 5 years from now. That's me.
Ooh,
5 years from now.
That's deep.
But I never get to meet my hero because my hero is always, I'm always chasing
five
him.
5 years ahead.
I'm always chasing him.
Okay.
All right.
Is that Matthew McConaughey?
It's like, I don't know, Matthew McConaughey, Bill Clinton, having a bad time. I don't know.
Real quick, I also heard that they have, and I guess I'm late to the party because it's been out, but they have now they have kids meals for adults, or Happy Meals for adults now. Not kids meals for adults.
We have to relive the nostalgia.
Happy Meals for adults, and it comes with a toy. And I'm like,
I heard it comes with like a sex toy.
I hope so.
You get like a dildo with your Big Mac.
I hope so. That I might want to go.
Which one's the Big Mac? Shit.
Which one am I eating first?
Well,
Dinner
and dessert.
I don't know why. I just find it like I don't know. Like it's weird. Like
We're
I get the
chasing that,
nostalgia,
yeah.
but honestly, if you gave me a kid's meal, I can't eat that shit. I can't eat a Happy Meal. That's not going to be enough. I need fucking more.
That's true.
That's why I'm a fat fuck. Because that's like, it's never enough. I need more.
We need Happy Meals.
I need maybe 2. Then we're talking, okay? Can we have a plus size Happy Meal? That'd be something.
Don't they have like a 50-piece chicken McNugget?
I've done that one time. But
Nice.
But I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a fan. It's too salty.
Too much?
It's too salty. Whatever they put in the breading is too salty to me. I did that one time with an ex when we were doing when we were driving
Trying to
around.
challenge you?
No, because she had some too. It wasn't like just fucking me just eating it.
Oh, true.
But I'm like, man, these are just fucking salty. Like, I don't know.
Fast food, man.
I know. It's either too salty or too oily, and then I have the shits after. So that's why I just stay away from it. I stay away from it.
The fast food is something that is good. Like, the only time I feel like it's good, it's like, okay, I'm in a rush. I don't have time for this. I don't have time to cook, or you're exhausted.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. But just like get it, I don't know, man.
I stay away. I stay away. It's a rare.
The last time I did it was in October before we went to the Capitol Theater because I was fucking starving and didn't have time to cook because you were coming over and then we were getting ready and then we were heading out and I'm like, oh my god. So yeah, I hit Wendy's. It wasn't a mental health thing like it usually would be. You know, shit's bad when I don't want to be in the kitchen.
Right.
But you know, it was sitting heavy and then I was like, went from being excited to and then I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I just I'm over it. All right, so what's on the agenda today? I think you wanted to talk about the
gender,
the generation gap
from boomers to zoomers, man. That's what's in existence right now. Obviously, the baby boomers starting to pass away.
Fizzle out.
Yeah, and that is what happens, and things change with the times, like how we were discussing about ourselves, like we evolve over that time.
Right.
And that might shed some light onto why there's, and I don't want to say hatred, but can we agree that to some it seems to be some hatred between the generations about the others? Some take it to a very like crazy place, but everyone at least has their nitpicky things, like we make fun of each other. No matter where we stand in the gap, we still kind of look at this of just like, and then we look at that like, and then we think of ourselves as like doing the right thing. Maybe not always. I mean, who knows? What bothers me a lot though, it was like 2 days ago I was in the store, and I was wearing an old Led Zeppelin shirt, and because I guess of the way it looked, the guy he's like, how long you've had that shirt? And I was like, I don't know, maybe like a decade, man. And like it's got holes in it, it's faded, it looks like shit, but you know, it was a comfy shirt, and I like Led Zeppelin. And the guy's like asking me how old I am. I'm like 32. And he's like, shit, man. And he starts, going back.
Remember back in my day.
Right, I know. I was getting ready to pass, the troll toll test of name 3 songs. I'm like,
right.
Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to jump up and do jumping jacks and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like, I do agree that if you're wearing a band's t-shirt that you should have some knowledge of the group or be a fan. I don't think it's really that cool to be wearing shit, unless you're wearing it, to be a dick. kind of thing.
Oh, just band shirts, right? Okay.
But then he was like, man, you're too young to know that, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, that's weird because the other types of music that I like to listen to, like all the punk that I like to listen to, any metal I like to listen to, even ska or reggae and stuff like that, like my parents would, that's not music. What is that?
Yeah.
Or rap. They're not singing. What is this?
Yeah.
What is this beat is going off? It sounds like a tea kettle. And I'm like, okay, now I'm embracing something of your generation, and I'm almost being told that it's like, you don't have access to, you don't get your pat on the back. You don't get whatever.
I think it's just
like, dude, I'm
personal.
a fan too.
It's just personal preferences. I mean, really, what it boils down to. Like, they may like, like they grew up with...
Things transcend generations.
Right.
Look at the light bulb.
Yeah.
That's so outdated,
But,
bro. I mean, we're developing better ones, sure, but...
I think the biggest change, and I want your perspective on this, when we went from millennials to Gen X, there's a big difference on, like, what the fuck is going on. Like, a huge difference.
In what way?
In a lot of ways,
Okay.
whether it's work, clothes, music, ideology, how they think of life, all that shit. Like, something changed, and I'm wondering, like, I can't think of like a particular event or something that changed to now.
2 years ago?
Yeah, I mean,
like, whoa, I can think of an event.
I mean, I don't know.
Donald Trump's presidency.
I think a little bit before that.
Okay, even before that?
I think so. Like, something changed. Like, it started. I think it started like back in
Mass
Obama,
shootings?
but then it kept growing from there.
School shootings, like maybe that kind of thing. Like that's the kind of work. Like I remember doing drills, like the tornado drill. Like let me get under the desk and
In
fly
Florida,
away.
like we have a fucking we have tornadoes.
Yeah, every now and then it happens. It's true. In the case of severe weather, I mean, usually a water spout, over the bay or something. But I mean, the Clearwater tornadoes, the high school here. I mean, that's because a tornado ripped off the gym roof back in the day, and they went ahead and took that as a thing. I mean, I remember doing lockdowns in middle school, and there were only tests.
Right.
But I could not imagine, like, oh fuck, it's right. And still, the anxiety, the heart pounding, like, just like, ooh, like, because they treat it, like a fire drill. The fire alarms go off. So in this scenario, everything that would be, they're like, okay, we have reports of an active shooter in the nearby neighborhood armed with a shotgun, and I'm like, even though I know it's fake, like the sound of the alarm would startle me, even though I know it's coming, even though I know we're doing a drill. But it being the real thing, I mean, they want to protect themselves. I kind of get where they're coming from. It's like you still got to do it. You still have to face reality. And I struggle with that too. Like how you're saying about work. What do you mean about work with Gen Z?
They're fucking lazy. Are you serious?
A lot is the same to be said about millennials in our generation. I don't want to do it either. I do. I guess it's because I admit that and I pitch a fit. Like how you say, like when. You know how I do, and I'm like, yeah, fuck it, we're done.
Yeah, well, yeah,
and I push through.
Because you throw your little temper tantrums. So I'm saying millennials.
They throw the temper tantrum as well, but they kind of.
But I'm saying as a group, we're talking about as a group, not personal self. So what I'm saying is, there was something changed to where, when millennials came in after Gen X, millennials were the idea that millennials had was let's work smarter, not harder. But they were still willing to do the work. That's why when millennials came about, technology was on the upswing.
Right, we were one of the first in the internet age growing up. And they call us digital natives.
Right, not so much that they
even
didn't want...
Even if you're not good at it.
Not so much that they didn't want to work, but they wanted to go to the technology route and kind of, do like a work from home, but like... whatever.
I don't feel like a lot of people worked from home until
No, they didn't. They didn't. But that was like the idea of let's build.
Do what you love.
Right, but let's
We're
build.
Always told that.
Because streaming became big with and all that stuff. But now when you look at Gen X, they don't want to do shit, like nothing. Like they just want to fucking just roll around and just get free shit.
A lot of us are sold a big fat lie. Always. my parents are technically baby boomers because they were born. What is it? Born from 1946 to 1964. You're a baby boomer. So the common stereotypes there include being fear-driven, which experts believe could be due to having childhood so close to the war era. The end of all that. So that's the stories that they're being brought up with, and then of course the Korean conflict in the 50s, and then getting into Vietnam later on. But also commonly referred to as stubborn, resistant to sort of change. They're called baby boomers because the baby boom was due to hardships after the baby boomers because of the Roaring Twenties. So then the Great Depression hits. Those are their parents. So now they're growing up in, after all the wars. So couples delayed marriage, delayed having children. Then the thriving economy and booming opportunities. Many in this generation had an opportunity for a career, college education. So I was always told, like, you've been playing video games all day. You're just rotting your brain away.
Right.
What's the internet? You're spending all your time on the internet. But like I said, people are streaming and making money off that. Like I showed my mom a picture of Nick Merckx, and I'm like, guess what he does for a living?
Yeah.
Some kind of athlete. I'm like, no, he plays video games.
Yeah, but that
nice
just,
boat.
But that just recently happened. Like when we were kids, it was frowned upon. You're wasting your life, you're wasting your time on that. But that was when we were in high school. Now you see fucking Gen Xers. I mean, when Fortnite was big, I mean, their parents were literally taking them out of school and having them learn how to fucking be pro players at Fortnite to fucking make it big.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Like
right. Something happened between millennials and Gen X because millennials, for the most part, I mean, not until the later years, but early on millennials were still trained. College was important. Yeah. Hard work paid off. That sort of thing. Learn a trade.
A lot of us were raised by the boomers.
Right.
And that was the way to go. But you're right, the rate of technology has changed the game in weird ways.
Right.
Because of the rise of social media and things like that. And I know you're not a big social media person.
No.
Right.
It's trash.
Right.
It's trash.
My dad would say the same thing.
I know it's important now for marketing, especially for business, to get your brand out there and stuff like that. But overall, it's trash. It's toxic. It's toxic.
There's everybody on there.
And again, a lot of people now, they just get their news. They get their news from there, their information from there, and then laziness plays a part. They just go off of whatever whatever.
Right, because the algorithm, if it notices you keep looking at a lot of things like this, it's going to keep giving you what you want. So you become more. But I feel like mainstream media and news does that anyway. Major news networks.
Yeah,
the 24-hour news network was a boomer thing that kind of needs to go. It needs to go. We don't need Fox News 24/7. We don't need CNN 24/7.
They don't do 24/7s anymore.
They don't?
No.
Good.
They end it like at midnight, and then they just give you reruns until 6 a.m. and then you start. So you got like a 6-hour window that they just play reruns. They don't do 24/7 anymore. The fuck.
But they were,
fuck out of here. It's 24/7.
And I don't know what happens between the generations aside from just different ways of thinking. Like when I was growing up, my mom was always scared of me being kidnapped by someone, not knowing where I was for an extended period of time, that worrisome kind of thing. And now you just ping, we know where everyone is all the time, or you're posting where you are all the time, so it's pretty easy to figure out. We're always connected. But it was a bit overbearing sometimes. So it's kind of like, all right, well then let me do this, let me be free. Well, it's kind of like, well, no, let me control that, but you need to go do your thing. It was almost like an apprehension to let the kids run wild, because all these thoughts come out and all these, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, that's a bad idea, don't do this, you're not paying attention to that. And then it got to a point where I said, fuck it all then, I don't even care.
Yeah. And
I feel like a lot of boomers and Gen X look at millennials as that, we're called millennials because of the whole turn of the millennium and the Y2K nonsense and all that shit.
Right.
But it's really Generation Y. And I'm like, that's fitting. And you know what? And yeah, from personal experience, but I feel like a blanket statement over even millennials is almost like how millennials are kind of looking at Gen Z. And for me, I'm kind of like, God, we all have kind of the same shit, but we do it a little bit differently. And we point the finger at the other group, whether it's older, whether it's younger, and go, you're fucking dumb. Now, I agree, eating Tide Pods is stupid. That's fucking dumb. I agree. Just to get internet famous, like how they're growing up, like how you said, kind of thing. And it's like, you know, I remember just riding bikes in the neighborhood, you know, that picture, like you knew where everyone was when you saw this in front of their house, and it's all the bikes just like right here, like, yep, that's where the party.
I think millennials split in a group where the earlier millennials tend to be like Gen Xers, like that way of thinking and whatever, and then the later parts are like, hey, we see what Gen Xers are doing, let us like fit in and like be part of that group.
Gen Z.
Or Gen Z.
Yeah,
Gen Z, whatever the fuck.
Well, I can understand.
Who the fuck made these? That's what I want to know. Who the fuck came up with this generational names and we're going to separate it by X amount of years? What the fuck is this all about? Why can't we just be you have young people, old people, middle-aged people, you know, like what the fuck?
Great.
Like who the fuck came up with, hey, okay, this in the 70s we're going to be fucking boomers or Gen X, whatever the fuck. Like who the fuck made this shit? Well, that's what I would like to know.
It's interesting too because I didn't look up who made it, but I was asking myself questions, and I'm like, okay, well, then what's the generation? Do they have names for all of them? Apparently, the generation that spawned the baby boomers was called the last great generation, and apparently,
no, I thought the one before boomer was silent.
That's a nickname. No, that is also a nickname.
Okay.
Same group. But then I thought, okay, Gen Z's the end, right? It's the end of the alphabet. Where are we going to go from here? Well, they're going to give birth to Generation Alpha, so I'm pretty sure we're going to go Alpha, Beta.
But it stopped
Charlie,
at 2000.
Delta, Echo, Fox.
Are we in it now? Because they end Gen Z at 2010.
I guess so. Generation Alpha. If you're born.
I didn't see it. That's what I'm saying. Who the fuck's making up these rules? And why do we stop at 2010? Like what? So what are we doing now?
Generation Omicron.
So if you're born COVID, that generation COVID, what am I missing it? I couldn't find anything. We stopped at 2010. So what, if you're born today, 2 years ago, what are you? Just fucking.
You just exist in this time.
It's fucking stupid. It's another stupid fucking thing, like classes and all that other shit. Like we try to categorize it. We have to categorize everybody and everything. It's fucking stupid.
Which is interesting to note about Gen X, because those are the ones born from 65 to 84. The X refers to an unknown variable.
That's fucking.
Or a desire not to be defined. So, savor that irony. Here's your label. Kids in the 70s and 80s, a time of shifting societal values, they were called latchkey kids, because they, also a great Bad Religion song, because they need a key as children because they'd return to an empty home due to increasing divorce rates and increased maternal participation in the workforce prior to widespread availability of child care options outside the home. You know, daycares and you can always get a babysitter. You know, that's all those stories.
Yeah, you can't
Scream,
trust. You can't trust babysitters now. They're either gonna fuck your kids or the dad's
right, and that's what it came into when we were born. They're like, don't talk to strangers, don't take candy.
If you get a male babysitter, he's fucking your kids. If you get a girl, guess what? The dad's gonna fucking bang the babysitter.
She's inviting the dude or the dad.
The dad's gonna bang the girl babysitter, regardless of the age. That's just. So you can't get fucking babysitters, and then if you take them to a fucking like art club or something, then they're gonna get fucking. Then God only knows what the fuck's gonna happen there. I mean, then they're gonna come out thinking that they're fucking Reptar, and there you go. And then they're gonna fucking walk around in a fucking dinosaur outfit. So you're fucked either way. You're fucking screwed. So don't have fucking kids. Apparently, I don't know what to tell you.
That seems to be my route. You know, they're saying with the millennials and Gen Z for that matter, not only are they abstaining from like their first sexual intercourse longer than the previous generations, like it's later, They're doing everything a little bit later.
Ah,
Like I've noticed that too. Even getting a
Get
driver's license,
it. No,
and sometimes
no,
that still
that's,
happens.
No, that's
Still
laziness. That's laziness. Hold on. I'm not letting you fucking give them a pass. It's fucking laziness. They're not fucking this smart generation where they're like, oh yeah, I think it's financially smart for me to wait till I'm 25 to drive. No, it's because you're fucking lazy and your parents are fucking pussies now apparently all of a sudden where they're gonna drive your bitch ass wherever the fuck you want to go. Or if not, then you'll just get fucking Uber.
Well, with my baby boomer parents, they wanted to teach me the value of earning the dollar and a penny saved being a penny
they
earned.
missed the ball on some others.
Well,
I'm just saying.
at least they got.
I'm just saying. They missed the ball on one. I'm just, not on the show anymore.
No, it's because I took it and went, no, I don't want this one.
I'm just saying.
But because I wanted that in high school. And in the typical blanket statement or idea about millennials, I was, all the other kids have this because their parents paid for them, not thinking fully about that family's situation, just being like, well, this is what happens when you turn 16. Right. Everyone's starting to get a cell phone in high school. Razor came out. Whoa, cool. Then the BlackBerry when I was a junior. And, I'm like, oh, I don't have a phone. You know why? Because my parents would look right at me and they go, oh, okay. How much money do you have to put down for it?
Right.
I had to try. You expect me to? Not, but it's kind of like, dude, like, what's life gonna be like? You think you're gonna go through life like this? Like my dad used to say that shit to me all the time. Sadly enough, he looks at me, he's like, you know what? To quote SpongeBob, and when they were had the magic conch shell, he's like, as if the answers to all your problems will just fall right out of the sky. Now I get it. For SpongeBob and Patrick, that worked out all right. And
right.
But in real life, that shit doesn't happen. It can. You can hit I get it. The chances are astronomical, though. So play the cards right. So I'm kind of like, shit. Like, I disagree with everything they're saying, but I get it. So it took me later to do it. So I kind of agree with that. Now, if it has to do with, if you have the means to do it, and it is just laziness, that could be a thing. I'm sure there's people out there, but there's a myriad of different reasons, I'm sure, why they don't feel comfortable taking steps, and not even in those categories, but just putting themselves out there. Everybody's like overly anxious because of the crazy world we live in, and you're right, maybe the social media having us too connected, so where we see everything, I almost feel like this horrible shit has been happening throughout all those generations, but now the technology's caught up to where it's like, who knows? I used to hear cops in fucking Florida used to get away with fucking murder.
No,
literally.
They still do.
Well, right.
They still do.
Right. But you know what? But now we got people are somewhat getting held accountable.
Whatever.
Like, stuff changes.
Here's a thought.
But I feel like we all the same.
No, we're not. No. Most of us are. I'm sorry. I cannot get behind this fucking Gen Z. These fucking kids these days, they're fucking just...
One headline that popped out about them being upset.
They're fucking lost.
If you haven't seen
they're
that
lost
stuff,
in the sauce,
this emoji. Thumbs up. That's offensive.
Yeah,
passive aggressive.
So was the OK symbol with Trump. That was racist.
Oh,
that was the OK
symbol.
The OK symbol was a white supremacist Nazi fucking symbol.
The only time I was scared of that symbol is when somebody was holding it below the waist at their knee,
and then you got punched.
Right, and then that has to happen. Unless you put your finger through it, then you're good to go.
All right, here's my thinking. What do you think of this? Millennials, right? Depending on how, because we can agree that the Gen X, our parents were, strict, had rules,
boomers.
all this other stuff.
Our parents are boomers.
No, well,
mine are.
I mean, mine was born in the boomer, but she rolls like a Gen Xer. But
right, and that's what I mean. It can happen. I feel like you can traverse the generational gap with the ideas.
But just this idea that they had rules, they were strict, and all this other shit, right? Okay, so the millennials some of them accepted those traits and passed it on, and the ones that didn't, when they had kids, they're like, I didn't like that parenting style or whatever. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to let my kid do whatever the fuck they want. If they feel like, a boy or girl, hey, whatever, do you. if you want to dress like this, whatever. You want to go do that. You want to sit at home till you're 40. You want to fucking whatever. That's cool because my parents, I didn't like the way that they, had rules and I had to be at home, had a curfew and all this other shit. So now that they have kids, now they're teaching them, hey, listen, you could do you. You're your own person. Do whatever the fuck you want, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like it.
Well, when it comes to like, yeah, if you feel like you're like all that kind of stuff, or being gay or being a lesbian, like I feel like that's always been kind of happening.
No, we're not talking about that. That
sounded like that's what we were talking about when you were like,
no,
you want to dress up like a girl. I was like, I mean, there was that. I mean, throughout, I get it that it's not as big as the media portrays it to be, but it does happen, and maybe they're trying to create some kind of
TikTok makes it look like it's fucking because how many fucking times do I have to see a fucking woman fucking dress their 4-year-old boy up in a dress and like, oh look, you like me, like it's fucking.
When I was 15, I had my mom had to show me how to put cover up on because I was embarrassed about a pimple that I popped on my forehead.
It makes me fucking go crazy because it doesn't make sense. Why? It just doesn't. Why? I feel bad for fucking gay people, dude. Like, because I feel like that's natural. This is like some weird fucking crazy shit going on. I don't get it.
Pretend to be something else, kind of a thing.
I don't fucking get it. I really don't.
A lot of people aren't okay with what they call brutal honesty, and I hate that term, brutal honesty, because lying is brutal. What are you talking about? Like, honesty is the good thing. That's at least direct. It's the truth. It's whatever. Even if it's something you don't want to hear.
We're too sensitive now. We don't want to hear the truth.
We've constantly been getting sensitive over these generational gaps because life's been a lot more cushy. Who knows? That, like you said with the technology or whatever. But, I mean, George Carlin does a bit, and I think I've shown it to you before, where it's like when we were talking about those eras, World War II and World War I, where it was called shell shock. And then shell shock goes to battle fatigue, and battle fatigue became operational exhaustion, and then it becomes post-traumatic stress disorder, and now all of a sudden, it's not just veterans that suffer from it, it's fucking anybody that's had a bad day. I get now, it's like, whoa, okay, let's kind of get back to like, this is shit for all of us sometimes. Kind of thing. All of our circumstances are different, but you know, the participation trophies didn't help, and it came from the generations that mock ours and Gen Z for expecting it almost. Yeah. We're entitled. Yeah. We feel like we're entitled to. Well, who the fuck raised us to feel like, hey, this is what should be? You know, if I was good at the store, I could get a candy bar. Okay. So then every time
my thing was Hot Wheels. If I was good or whatever, I can get a Hot Wheel.
Now I get a thing. Yeah. Right? Well, then you get into the real world. Not that that's a bad thing. I get what y'all were trying to do. But what happens with us now is like I'm now going out into the thing and I'm expecting a pat on the back for everything I do. And now it's all about the expectation of receiving something.
No.
So what's my motivation for doing the right thing or working hard? What's my motivation?
Here's what you gotta do. You gotta pat yourself on the back. This is what
That's the lesson that needed to be taught.
And this is what I do. I reward myself weekly, monthly, whatever. Whether it's something that I want, whether it's, car speakers, clothes, whatever, games, whatever the fuck. But I treat myself to that. I don't expect, anything from anybody. I don't. And, again, these younger kids, they expect everything. But not only that, but they're actually, they're given, these young, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, they're given, you can have free, the stimulus checks free. And you could still get free handouts, whatever. You could be taken care of and not put in the work.
Not be self-reliant.
You have to put in the work to... look at every successful, except for the fucking, the 30-year-old who just got fucking arrested. Whatever the fuck his name is.
The crypto dude.
Yeah, the goofy crypto fuck. But most successful millionaires, billionaires put in the fucking work.
They get up at 5 in the morning.
Right.
4 in the morning. I've heard that before. If you give yourself a leg up, it's 3 hours. It's a 3-hour window. If you are up 3 hours before the majority of society,
right.
You're gonna get.
But if you're
the old cliche saying, "Early bird gets the worm."
But if you're waking up at 12, guess what? 4 hours just went past
That's me.
of when people are making money. So you just lost 4 hours of making money.
I love sleep.
I know. No, I know.
Tired,
Listen,
man.
but it's fucking young because you sleep until like 3, 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I get it.
So I mean, you know.
I get it. That's what I mean. I get where they're coming from.
I don't.
But I still, at the same time, understand that I have to do the thing. That's where I kind of am different. I'm different and the same. I'm like caught between the two at the same time, where it's like I don't want to do that work. That's a pain in the ass. That's gonna fuck my vibe up. That's gonna throw me off.
Yeah, you're all worried about your fucking vibe.
Right,
The
right.
vibe ain't gonna pay the fucking bills.
Exactly.
You cannot tell your landlord, hey, listen, you know my vibe, man. Like, listen, I can only work 30 hours a week. Anything more than that, it kills my vibe.
It really
so
does,
if
man.
you know, if you're, if
I gotta
you
get
can,
more sleep.
If your rent can match my vibe, that would be great.
Right.
If not,
it's just not reality, right?
know,
so the other half kicks in, that almost Gen X type kicks in, where I'm like, bitch, get the fuck up. Get up. You need to go. You have to do the thing, because guess what happens if you don't? And sometimes
you gotta grind and put in the time.
Right.
So
I still do anyway, and it starts off, you know, albeit reluctantly, but it ends up feeling good.
So, we look at how Gen Z has been fucking goofballs, and they're all sensitive. They want to cancel everybody that doesn't agree with them, and you know their fucking rainbow-colored hair, and you know
I
whatever.
almost feel like we could put them all in. We should all be able to go to a place where it's like every offensive thing. Wasn't that on South Park?
I don't know.
It was like making fun of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Like they go through a tunnel and it's like all these fucking racial slurs of all different cultures.
Yeah. And facts don't matter to Gen Z. You throw a fact out there, you know. So my question to you is, where do you think the next generation? Because we're not going back. Boomers, Gen Xers, even we're not going back to those days. We're gonna keep like how a person grows. We're gonna keep moving forward.
Well, even using the term boomer. I mean,
like
if you want to talk about sensitive, they get fucking sensitive. Remember OK Boomer?
No, they
were taking people to HR. I saw stories.
No, but they're just stuck in their ways. They're stuck in
when I talk about Jesus, they get all upset. I'm like, okay, so who's the snowflake now at Christmas time?
Oh, by the way, I still say fucking Christmas. If any fucker says Happy Holidays, you can go fuck off. I don't care. I still say Christmas. You know, that's just...
Joyous Kwanzaa.
Merry Christmas. See, we don't give a fuck around here. But my question to you is, what do you think? What do you think the next generation, like, where could you see that going?
They're all going to be AI. I know we talked about it last week. I feel like we're gonna create the metaverse. It's going to become a thing. We're going to plug ourselves in like the Matrix. And we are not going to exist as us, because it seems like throughout every generation, in small increments, but now since it's going to be going, we're talking about 4 different ones right here. This is the 5th. So nobody wants to do all those things. Now, I get it. The older generations, they would keep their mouths shut and grit through it and do the work and whatever, and they wanted to instill that in the next one. But the next one always found out, like I said, Gen X was starting to become the first to work smarter, not harder. And then the millennials starting to do the same thing. And then the Gen Z's doing the same thing. Ideologies aside, everything like that. But people still in those generations, and as it's going on, become more depressed, more anxious clinically, like in studies, to where they don't want to exist as themselves anymore.
Which I get, because life.
And now it's almost available.
Because there's
everything we've ever kind of done is like, I wouldn't want to do all this. A meat wrapping machine is a perfect example. That used to have to be a job. You needed the person there to wrap all the stuff. Now it's a fucking conveyor belt.
But not just that. There was a time where you could work if you just had a full-time job in anything. You can live a good life. Not anymore.
Oh, not anymore.
Not anymore, man.
You need several.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
You gotta have a couple, man. You gotta fucking grind. If you want any sort of anything that you want, whether it's a new PS5 or you gotta have more than one job.
Yeah.
You know,
to afford excess luxuries.
Right. Just your full time job is depending, because there's some full time jobs that still can't.
Don't. Yeah.
If you have a good amount, that'll barely pay the bills. That's it.
And we've gone through 2 of these. When we were graduating high school was the first economic recession of our lifetime. Going out into the market, into the labor force.
Yeah.
And guess what? We're not hiring. We can't afford it. We can't do this. Yeah. Or if you can get hired, it's at a lower wage. So yeah, we had to kind of learn, like how you said, you're going to need to pull multiple things if you want all this stuff, which of course we do, because now we have access to fucking everything all at once.
Yep.
But if I had to...
Where's the second one that we went through?
We're still kind of going through.
Well, no, Joe Biden says we're not in a recession.
We're still kind of going through the COVID.
No, Joe Biden says we're not in a recession.
It's on Wikipedia, bro.
No, whatever.
And Gen Z's now exposed to this kind of thing too. So now they're kind of saying, "Oh fuck."
I think they threw in the towel.
Sucks.
I think they just threw in the towel.
And you know what?
That's what they fucking did. They threw in the towel.
At the age that they're at
and
right
they
now,
said, "Fuck it."
I can kind of understand. I've said "fuck it" like that on many occasions at that age.
Yeah, well, it's not cute when you're. It's not cute when you're 40. It's not cute to say fuck.
So eventually, yes, you're going to have to fucking understand that nothing in life worth having comes easy.
Nope.
And unless you're the 0.00001% that hits that lotto, but good luck to you. But you don't put all those eggs in that basket.
Just do different things, man. Like even, you can be a content creator, learn investments. I mean, instead of fucking, reading fucking headlines off of Twitter, Instagram, learn some fun fucking financial shit. I mean, whatever.
Do that. Do you have a favorite generation out of the 4? Who you kind of like?
Honestly, boomers.
Yeah?
And the reason why is because, and it's instilled where, hard work pays off. And at least at that time, they kept to themselves for the most part, and they just, whatever bullshit was going on or whatever, like the elite, and especially the men at that time, was they're gonna fucking work 60, 70 hours a week, whatever, to put food on their table for their family. And, they didn't fucking bitch and complain. And they were fucking working way harder jobs.
Right, they'd hold it all in and then slug their life.
That's right, the right way. They were working way harder jobs than we are.
One of these days, Alice. One of these days.
They were working in factories, coal mines, and all this shit. You know what I mean? So, But we're
I'd be
fucked.
a chauffeur at that time.
We're fucked.
I like Gen X. I like Gen X. Growing up, they were the older kids. They seemed like, they were the fucking wild ones. They had their leather jackets, they're smoking cigarettes, they're doing all that.
But they had the hippie phase, and then they had the party phase, and, there wasn't that much hostility in that era with Gen X's. Like, there was all like, let's all go to the club and fuck and, whatever.
Cocaine was getting really big on the scene. But they were the ones
now it's fentanyl. See, we progressed.
Yeah. But I can understand some of my things from my childhood as relating to Gen X, like all the bikes outside. We're always outside doing that. Even though internet and all that stuff was starting, it was so slow and so, it was cool when it started to progress, but still being raised by boomers, I was not allowed to have a computer in my room, or a TV, or a gaming console in my room. That was in the living room, and you only get like a couple of hours or an hour, and that's it, you're done. Kind of thing, like, because otherwise you're going to be locked in here all day. Now they don't want to let them outside. Yeah. Don't go anywhere without your phone. Make sure you text me when you get there. Make sure I get a call. And I got a little bit of that growing up. Like if I was staying at a friend's house, I want their parents to call me as soon as you get there. So give them the home phone number right when you get there, just so I know that that's where you're at, because I was a little trickster.
Speaking of computers, real quick, I couldn't have a computer in my room. We had one computer. Back when computers were really reliable, that was a main source.
Windows 95, bro.
Yeah, my mom had a fucking e-machine that she spent like $1,200 on. Like, it was a nice setup back then, right? Mm-hmm. And we had one computer in the in the living room. Well, as a young man, I got the computer a fucking bunch of viruses because while mom was out working, I was fucking looking at porn.
I did the same.
And hold on, it wasn't even videos; it was just pictures. We
I
didn't.
had both.
We didn't have. I didn't even bother looking at. It was just pictures, and she had so many viruses. It was the computer guy's like, you just got to throw this in the trash. I remember that.
He gave your computer the ultimate
It was
STD.
over 700 viruses, bro. It was fucking. It was fucking crazy. Oh, dude, my mom
Fauci
was so,
needs to see that computer.
So fucking pissed, dude.
Dude,
Woo!
That happened. My dad
shit.
sat my sister and I down. I might have been 10 or 11, so she was like 12, 13. And it was after I discovered Google Images. I realized Google was a thing. I found out about that through a friend who was, had, parents that divorced, like how we were saying before, that shit was happening. They're working really hard, so he's at home alone. He's got his own computer to do, homework and other stuff, So he tells me about it. I start going looking at it. My dad sits me and her down, and he's like, okay, so we were doing a thing to clean the computer out. So come over to speed it up. And update the computer.
And I was watching it too.
And so it lets you know exactly where it's been. Everywhere it's been. Yeah, we got to see all that. And there were a lot of, pornographic websites. The way he was saying it was so, matter-of-fact and formal. And I went over the top. Because I'm a kid, right? When he said,
"Who the hell in this house is looking at?" You sit up on the table. I demand answers right now. Who's looking at porn?
Not the Christian thing to do in this home.
Is it you, sissy? You fucking
I
slut.
didn't start pointing at
you slut. Yeah, you
I was hoping to deflect that, so I went, ew, immediately, that's disgusting.
Boobies. Who's looking at that?
Oh
Girls
my
are
God.
gross.
I mean, the whole time. Now that I look back on it, like I said, my whole
That's
life
hilarious.
has been me
A
looking
clown
back
show.
at myself, yes, going, what the fuck, dude? Which, yeah, the future's going to be great. So, I mean, I'm sure at the time he knew it was me. I'm sure as he got the report,
Listen, the future holds. We're all going to be in constant.
And I'm sure in his mind he goes, at least he's not gay.
Yeah, that's
He's a very sensitive boy.
Yeah,
but
well, nowadays
we weren't sure about it.
Nowadays you can be whatever you want. So, the future, I think,
I'm going to make like a tree and leave.
I think the future holds that we're all going to be in concentration camps and work for China.
We're going to be plugged in.
But before we go, I just have a few mentions. I want to give a shout out to President Joe Biden. I mean, he gave us the greatest Christmas gift ever. He got Brittany Griner out of Russian prison.
Isn't that weird? We were just talking about that a couple months ago about Victor Bout and everything, and now it's actually happening.
It's so beautiful. I hope we have a national holiday of Brittany Griner. I mean, she's literally an American war hero. We need to take. We should put her face on Mount Everest. Really. To be honest, take out Abe Lincoln, that fucking old bag, and put her on there. To be honest, that's just, so thank you, Joe Biden. You gave us the best holiday. I gotta be politically correct.
I saw a meme where it was saying that it was Danny McBride as Kenny Powers in his baseball uniform, but he has an American flag as a cape, and it said if Brittany Griner doesn't show up at the next game looking like this, send her back.
Oh, I hope she kneels. I hope she kneels at every
All
game.
people are saying
I
that
hope
too.
so.
I wonder if she's going to take a knee.
I hope so, because
take a knee for Paul Whelan.
And I'm going to be honest, I ordered 20 of her jerseys because I'm going to be wearing it all year long.
Look,
so
I will
it's
say the overly emphatic, and I know you're trumped out, but the overly emphatic Trump supporters that are ripping on that, Paul Whelan's been there since 2018, which was during Trump's.
Who cares?
That we could have, wasn't he friends with Putin?
He's a white male. We don't care. Fuck him.
Well, yeah.
Fuck him. He's a white male. Let him rot.
Donald said the same thing.
And my boy Fetterman from Pennsylvania.
Isn't he the fashion icon of the year?
Dude, let me tell you something, bro.
Bro, let me throw on some fucking
sweatpants, sweatshirts. I love it, dude.
I was amazed by that.
He is.
Recreate the look.
He's running strong. He's gonna make Pennsylvania great again. That's my boy Fetterman. So thank God he's still kicking strong. So that's pretty much all I got to say about that. Follow us on Instagram, all at the Let It Eat Podcast. We're on TikTok. And if we ever get canceled on YouTube, we are on Rumble as well, because one day we probably will get canceled on YouTube. Not because of Tyler, because of me, but whatever, we'll be all right.
It's because of us.
It's because of us. But I have no filter. But So
that's what I love about him. And that's the whole point of this. Whether it's different generations, different points of view, different ideologies, upbringings, cultures, backgrounds. It doesn't matter. There's something to be said within all of it that we can all
suck.
yeah, we can all relate to. We all go through the hardships. We all make those bad decisions. We try to make good ones. It's tough, but you know what? Life goes on.
Leave a comment below. What's your what's your what generation are you? What things you like, what things you hate about your generation.
Weird trends.
Yeah, trends.
Remember silly bands? Yeah, silly bands, Pokemon cards, soaps. Remember soaps?
Yeah.
They were like skate shoes that had a little plate screwed into the bottom. So with your shoes, you could slide and grind on curves.
No, I remember the little fucking wheel, the little wheelies.
Oh, Heelys? Yeah, there's
Heelys.
another one, yeah. Those are fun. Yeah, get lost in nostalgia. He's right.
But one thing we can all agree on, people that wear fucking hoodies and sweaters, like thick sweaters and school in the fucking 90-degree.
I'm having a fat day.
They're potential school shooters. That's just my opinion. That's what I think.
Or if they wore their rainbow slippers with jeans.
What about the fucking goth kids with the 20 chains on their fucking one side of
or
their
the
pant leg?
strategic rips.
You can hear
if
them.
They're
You can hear
pre-ripped.
them coming. You can hear them
Do you
coming
remember
through the halls.
scene kids? They didn't want to be called emo.
Who were those? The ones that are
They were emo. They were emo.
They were eating notebook
with the
paper.
with the hair straightener
And the
extensions
snacking
and the
on paper.
heavy eye makeup. They look like raccoon children.
I don't know. I was too busy trying to find hot chicks.
Just
to be
tortured artistic souls.
honest. I was too busy looking at ass and tits at that time. I couldn't
Hey,
really.
man, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's whatever. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. God bless. See you on the next one.